what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for Kick-Ass 2, which of course is a sequel to Kick-Ass that came out in 2010, which I thought was a fantastic movie. I loved it, thought it was great, one of my favorites of that year. So when I heard there was going to be a sequel, I was very excited. And of course we lost the director of the first film, Matthew Vaughn, who did an amazing job. But I was like, you know what, maybe they'll pick a new director that is, just as good, or maybe even better. So they picked Jeff Wadlow, who is arguably better. He made Never Back Down and Cry Wolf. Okay, well, alright. Not arguably better, not even close. He's not better. But that doesn't mean this movie's gonna be bad. Those movies came out years ago. He could be better now, who knows? So, what did I think of Kick-Ass 2? Well, let's talk about the story. Alright, so the story for Kick-Ass 2 follows Kick-Ass, or Dave, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, as he trains with Hit Girl, played by Chloe Grace Moretz. And the reason why he's training, of course, is because the first film started with him and ended with him not being that much of a badass. I mean, he was definitely overshadowed by everybody else in the film. So he wants to be, more of a badass. The thing is that Hit Girl does not want to be a superhero anymore, and she decides to put up the purple wig and just stop being a superhero. So Kick-Ass is a little bummed out, but the thing is, he meets up with a bunch of other superheroes, a group of superheroes, led by Jim Carrey's character, Colonel Stars and Stripes, and he's having a good time with them. He's like busting a bunch of things. He actually busts a whole prostitution ring, and they feel good. They're happy. But of course, the first ever supervillain shows up, and of course that guy is played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse from the first film, and he is named the Mother Fudger, and he really wants to kill Kick-Ass because, of course, Kick-Ass killed his father in the first film, which isn't a spoiler, seeing that they friggin' spoiled it in the trailer. So sorry if you still hate me, but whatever. Anyway. Of course, the Mother Fudger wants to go kill Kick-Ass, and Kick-Ass doesn't want him to do that because that's bad, and they fight and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Hit Girl has a whole side plot with a bunch of really pissy, moany, bitchy teenage girls that she hates and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. A bunch of violence, heads getting cut off. Well, actually, there's not many of those. But there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of cursing. That's Kick-Ass 2. There's the story. Sorry it's not the best explanation, but you know what? Sorry, I've done 70 reviews this year. Give me a break. Now, while the plot is familiar at times, and I didn't really care for that whole Hit Girl side plot, to be honest, every time we saw the other girls talking to Chloe Grace Moretz's character, I was actually kind of getting a little bored and a little mad because it just felt very, not hokey, and that's not the right word, it didn't feel like it was supposed to be in a movie like this. It just didn't feel right. I didn't really care for that side plot, but besides that, everything else is actually very entertaining, especially when Kick-Ass starts to meet up with all the other superheroes, the other costume superheroes, I should say, and they are really, really fun to get to know, especially Jim Carrey's Colonel Stars and Stripes. He's really likable because he's a mixture of, it's kind of like the nice guy, he's not too nice, but he's a nice guy, and a mix of just the insane criminal douchebag, because he beats the crap out of some dudes and gets his dog to bite nuts and stuff, which is awesome. But he's still, he's a cool guy. He still wants to make a difference, and he is really, really, really great in this. He's a scene stealer, and sadly he's not in it enough. But Jim Carrey does not act like he usually is when he's all crazy and kooky making faces. Here he's serious. He is great. And it's sad that Jim Carrey does not really care for this film anymore, because I think he is easily the best thing in it. Not easily, I'm sorry, but he is the best thing in it. Aaron Taylor Johnson, while still overshadowed by everybody else, is still really good as Kick-Ass. He's very sympathetic. Yeah, really liked him. Chloe Grace Moretz, even though she's getting older, so that whole thing about her being a little girl, and cursing and killing dudes is kind of wearing off. I still think she is a badass in this, and I love her. I do. Not like that. She's 16. She's underage, and I do not do that. 2 more years, and then I'll say it. But 2 more years. I guess maybe 3 more. I'll look it up. So, what was I saying? Yeah, she's great. Who else? Everybody else does a great job as well. Oh, that's right, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who I really liked in the first film, but I found him to be a little annoying at times in the first film. Here, I thought he was just great. I actually thought he was very, very good in his role. Actually, at times I was a little scared of him because he seemed like he was just completely unhinged, and I actually kind of liked that. He didn't annoy me like he did in the first film at times. You know, I still liked him in the first film, but I really like him better here. So overall, I think the story here is a lot of fun. Sure has some familiar and kind of mad parts, but I think the acting, I think the characters themselves were really likable, and to be honest, I thought this movie, even though not as funny as the first film, had a lot of really funny parts. Now, one thing I will say is that they used some fart jokes and poop jokes, which I was not expecting, and that was a little weird. I don't know, I just didn't really see that coming, I guess you could say. I just didn't think they would actually stoop that low to do fart and poop jokes. Now, they were funny, don't get me wrong, but if you're using fart and poop jokes, you have to do it right. They did it right, but I still think it's a little, it's a little bit too low on the comedy totem pole, if that makes sense. I don't know. But anyway, it's still very funny, even if it's not as funny as the first film. But the first film was a big surprise, because, of course, Chloe Grace Moretz and Nicolas Cage, what the hell? Nicolas Cage were just so good in it. So, there you go. There is the story, and there is the acting, and I guess there's the comedy section. But of course, Kick-Ass 2 is called Kick-Ass 2, so you'd expect some kick-ass action. And while the first film had some really memorable fight scenes, the whole hallway scene with Chloe Grace Moretz's character, Hit Girl, just clearing a whole hallway of dudes at the end of that film, and even the Nicolas Cage part where he's just taking dudes out with a shotgun in a warehouse, those scenes I still remember, and they're so awesome. I love those scenes. Here, there's not really too many scenes like that. Now, there is one scene I thought was awesome at the end where all the villains are fighting, and it's Mother Russia, this big Russian bodybuilder girl who is badass in this film. I forgot to mention her, but she is great, versus Hit Girl, and that's such a good fight scene, especially how it ends. And that whole like last 10 minutes, action-wise, really good, but not as good as the original's action. So while the action here is very well shot, I understood what was going on, and it really is very entertaining, it's not as good as the first film. So Kick-Ass 2 is a really good film. I really enjoyed it, even though I didn't really care for the whole Mean Girl side plot. I really didn't, and it feels a little familiar, and the jokes aren't as funny, and the action isn't as good. I still think Kick-Ass 2 is a great film, in my opinion. Sorry. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree because, you know, critics and even I think audience members aren't really caring for it. You know what? I don't care. I liked it. So, sorry. Kick-Ass 2, fun film. I really enjoyed it just like the first film. Not as much, mind you, but I still really liked it. So there you go. Kick-Ass 2, I'm going to give a 33 out of a 40. Really enjoyed it. Thank you and goodbye.